Hey family, it's Tasha, MAMABEAR Prepping. So welcome to the channel, welcome back to the channel. You already know what time it is, baby. Get your drink, pull up. You can see I'm already moved on to water. We had a super busy weekend. I don't know about you guys, we got a lot of stuff done. On top of that, it's not stopping, right? Hubby's here today, home from work. We have a huge bathroom reno project happening. So as you can see, I'm ready to rock and roll and get dirty today. So we're going to get into this. Somebody asked me to do this video. I've actually been asked to do this video quite a few times already. And so let's talk about it, right? As you guys know, we just got a puppy, right? But we've been preparing for animals and how to make sure that they're just as ready to go as we are for a while, right? We've always known we were going to get the dog once we retired. That was a gift for our son. And but we've had cats, you know, we've known we were going to get livestock. So we've always had that mindset in our head as we prepared, right? And I think a mistake for a lot of preppers, especially new people who are just now getting into being more prepared, thinking about what could happen and how to prepare for that, is they forget about their pets, okay? So we're going to talk about pets. Two things that I think are important to concentrate on when it comes to pets and preparing. I think that's the planning aspect of it. What could happen? Just like you're thinking about as far as regular preparedness, what could happen, and then how do you make sure that you're prepared, just like you do the kids, just like you do the babies, the grandma, grandpa, everybody that's in the house. It's the same with the pets, right? So let's talk about it, the plan, and then the preps, the things that you're gonna get. All right, so talk about the plan. I'm just wrote down some thoughts, you guys. So planning wise, you know, if you had to leave, how does that look, right? That depends on how many animals do you have, which animals would actually be going with you, and which animals would possibly be staying behind. And that counts not just, you know, domestic type pets, but also livestock, your chickens, your goats, your this, your that, right? And this, you guys don't think, oh, well, I'm never leaving, we're bugging in, we're never leaving, we're never leaving. But you know, really, you have to think about this, because in a when we talk about preparedness, we're talking about a fire breaks out, right? You have to prioritize what animals are supposed to go, who's supposed to get what animals, who's supposed to corral what animals go in what crates, how are they loaded into the car or the truck, or what does that look like? Do you even have room for that? And that needs to be a plan by itself. If you guys had to leave those pets, right, those animals, which ones are going, which ones are not, because there really could be a moment where you're making a decision. And two, depending on what's going on, you know, how much time do you have to make those decisions, right? And if you haven't thought that through, that's devastating, okay? And people could possibly die while you're trying to figure out what you're going to do on the fly, okay? Another thing to think about, so talked about carriers, right? Some people don't have carriers in general because, right, their dogs are free roaming, or their animals, their cats, whatever. Even if they go to the vet, a lot of times people will just have the pet in the car loose, sitting on a kid's lap, or if it's a dog, right, just having the dog in there. But you need to think carriers. You need to think of ways that you can safely transport animals, possibly for a long period of time. And moving them around, corralling them. That gets much easier when you have crates, carriers, ways that you've figured out how you're going to maneuver animals around easier, okay? Strays, how you're going to deal with strays. This is kind of an oddball note that maybe probably should have been at the end, but I thought about it right away when I was thinking about people preparing for animals. Shtf, what happens? You're going to have a lot of strays, and so you're going to need to turn off that animal lover part of you that would normally take that stray cat in and feed the neighborhood cats, or feed that dog that showed up on your door that's so stinking cute that somebody had to let go, right? Whether the animal left on its own because it wasn't going to be getting fed or taken care of, or somebody made the decision to let it go because they couldn't take care of it anymore, right? Because they weren't prepared. You're gonna have to turn that off, and that you're gonna have to turn that off. You know, there's gonna be a point. It's just like people, where it's like, are you helping people or not? It's the same thing, right? That's another mouth to feed when you think about strays and taking care of that cute kitten or that cute dog or whatever it is that you found, right? So think about that and having that conversation with your family in regards to how you guys are going to deal with strays. You need to think of ration plans just like people. Like, okay, if you had to start rationing food to make your food last as long as it would possibly last in your home, the same goes for your animals. What does that ration plan look like? Is it just, taking it down a third? Is it taking it down a half? Is it walking them back? What is too little for a dog, right, to maintain, or a cat to maintain their normal healthy body weight, right? Those are things to talk about. Those are things that you would talk about now with your veterinarian. Hey, what is a safe amount? Google now. There's so much information on the internet to find out. You can easily do this. Somebody's probably already done it and can walk you through all the things, okay? So just take a look at that and think about ration plan. Think about toilet use inside. See, the thing about animals is animals have pros and cons during SHTF, right? You have the pros of they're an alert system, that they can let you know what's happening outside. They can possibly protect you, physically protect you. So it's a piece of security. But there's pros, what if you're trying to be quiet? What if you're trying to be silent and not be known? And now you have a barking dog and it won't be quiet. And, there's some negatives. There's some negatives too. If you're not able to go outside, it's not safe to go outside. If it is so bad, like let's just think about worst case scenario, chaos outside, violence going on, utilities grid down, utilities don't work, people are defecating outside, people are going to the bathroom outside, people are getting rid of have makeshift toilets that they've put together in their homes, and they're just throwing out their biohazard waste of their poop and pee, and now you're trying to walk your dog around through that, and there's disease going on. It can get very, very dangerous very quick. And so when you talk about what is the game plan for when you bring that dog or that cat inside now, and what is the bathroom plan? How are you getting that animal to go to the bathroom where you want the animal to go to the bathroom at? Okay. Our plan, we had to come up with a plan because the cat, for example, outdoor cat, does not come inside really anymore. What does that look like? Do we even get the cat inside during SHTF? If she does come inside, what does that look like? How does that change the game? Now, she used to be an indoor cat, so it's like she knows a litter box. She knows all this stuff, right? And I'm sure it's like running a bag, hopefully. But cats are fickle, right? They're very used to what they're used to. And then you change that up, and now you're dealing with all types of other problems, okay? Dogs, right? Used to going outside on a leash. So I've got some quick tips. Maybe one, you have to figure out a space that's going to be used for the pottying, right? Corner of a room, designated mud room, part of the garage, whatever it is that you can do, right, where you're at. Pee pads, right, is on the grocery list that we're going to talk about. But the thing is that how realistic is that? For a short-term situation, pee pads is awesome. You can stockpile those. They're pretty expensive, though. But you could stockpile those, right? And in theory, you don't have to throw them away as soon as the animal uses it once, right? You could lay it down, let the animal use it several times, and then once it's kind of full, right, you can get rid of it. However, you got to think about how long does a situation last and how does that make sense for long term? Some other ideas: throwing down a shower curtain from the Dollar Tree or some plastic wrap. Maybe getting one of those AstroTurf rugs that you can get at Walmart, right, that are for like outside for a patio. Get one of those, throw it in the corner on the plastic wrap. And what you do is, if it's no more taking your dog out on a leash, whatever, that you're bringing the dog in indoors, you're putting the leash on just like you do mentally, and you're taking the dog to that spot to learn how to basically potty train them to that corner, that space that you want them to start going in, right? Where those pads are, where the AstroTurf is, and you just stay there until they do their business. You do the same exact routine you would do, but you're doing it in that area now so that they learn, oh, this is the new thing. Another thing that's kind of weird, but cat training on leashes, right? Getting that cat cats are fickle. They run off, they hide if they're scared, right? If you're trying to transport that cat, maybe teaching that cat to be on a leash, even a little bit right now, right? That cat's around you, throw the leash on the collar, and just see, just get the cat kind of used to using kind of a leash, because that could be a thing, right? Cat litter box, all those things that you would need to hopefully have a good space in your home or somewhere in the area for them to go to the bathroom. Maybe you have a backyard and it's like, okay, they're not going to have to go inside the house. They'll still be able to go outside, but we have a small outdoor patio, right? Is it safe to go out there because it's confined and you've got your own fencing? You don't have to worry about other people's waste in there or any other crazy stuff that's happening. But what if it's fallout? Your dog's inside with you. It's not outside. Your cats hopefully are inside with you. Your animals are with you, as many as possible, and figuring out how you do that. This also is figuring out other animals. What livestock can be brought inside? I get it. There's a lot of stuff. It's not like you can just bring in all these goats and bring all this stuff. But is your garage, is it big enough? Is there a space that you could potentially move some animals in? Could you move some bunny rabbits in, some quails, some smaller stuff? Could you bring the chicken coop into a spare bedroom? Okay, if you have a smaller chicken coop. Everybody's situation is different on the size of what they have, the type of animals they have, the number that they have, how big their house is. Do they have garages? Do they have barn type areas? What do you have to be able to think about your animals and having to bring them in, whether that's bring them into a barn area, the house, whatever, okay? Just that part alone is a really big aspect of planning. What is the plan? Think about pet evac. We already talked about a little bit about that, but think about that in the sense of you're making a go bag, you're making an evac bag, right? That you and your family, hey, we're going to go to this hotel if something happens and we have to leave our home. Same thing for animals. Pack a little bag, has their extra food, there's some water, has some treats, has some some extra little toys, and that's kind of just a go bag that goes with them. And so you don't have to, again, you're not having to think about it. You just take it, get in the car and go. Okay. Heavy duty trash bags for waste disposal, that should go for you as well in any kind of SHTF, but specifically, getting and controlling, possibly depending on how big your animals are, big amounts of poop, right? So, just something to think about. Okay. So let's get into preps, the grocery list, what do you get? I've got this broken down with feeding, drinking, medically, comfort wise, safety wise, everyday wise. So everyday wise, right? Your leashes, your dog bowls, right? Thinking about on the go dog bowls as well. Litter box, litter pads, the baggies, the poop baggies. Again, you think, oh, well, those are outside to be nice to pick up the poop when you're walking your dog, but that matters when you're indoors, right? It makes it very, very easy to just be able to take that bag, grab up that poop from wherever you're at, and whether it's in the back patio, your dog's now going outside on the balcony, indoor in a room, in the garage. I was about to sneeze. It's trying. Get what are the everyday things, and then stockpiling those things. It's just like you and me, having those extra things that are stockpiled, ready to go in case you need them for a crisis, right? And you start with, okay, I need a couple more weeks worth of stuff. Okay, I need another month's worth of stuff, and you just go from there. Okay. Food and water. Let's talk about that for a minute. Food. What worked for me was subscriptions, whether that's Chewy subscription, some other kind of place that you get your dog food, whatever, whether it could be a subscription from Amazon, but basically you set up subscriptions where you get food delivered every single month, right? And so what happens was cat food, for example, we were set up on a subscription, canned cat food. Canned food is going to last the longest. It's just like our stuff that's canned, right? It's going to last the longest, so we prep that. And then, of course, we have dry food. Now, dry food will not last forever. Eventually, it will go rancid because dog and cat food have certain levels of oils in them. And so eventually it will go rancid. It will not last forever. However, it will last a very long time, okay? Now, the thing is, I don't want to advise you how to keep your dog and cat food, okay? I'm just going to tell you what I have learned over the years. When it comes to dog and cat food, they are kept in a Mylar type, lined type bag already. I've always gone by the notion that dog and cat food that you buy that's dry in a bag is kind of like batteries. It's best to just keep it in its original packaging, and then you would take that packaging and then put it in another container for another element of protection, right? Put it in a tote. So batteries, we don't open them in my household. We don't put them in those fancy battery holders. We keep in the original packaging, and then we put those in totes. We put that in plastic containers, okay? Dog food, cat food is the same thing. We leave it in the original bag, mark it for expiration, and then put those in big totes, big plastic totes for an extra layer of protection. Some people as well will take it and put it in a big trash bag, the bag, wrap that up, and then put that in the plastic tote, again, for another layer of protection against rodents and all this stuff like that. I do know of some people, that's how we keep it too, okay? I do know some people who do take it out of the bags and put it into Mylar bags and seal it up like that, and then put that in buckets, totes, whatever. I personally do not think that it's necessary, and I do not know if it makes it last longer. And so because that's how I feel, that I'm not sure that it actually extends the life of the food, I just personally don't do it. I was told a long time ago, years and years ago, that original packaging for dog food and cat food was the best way. So I'll let you make your own decision. Let me know in the chat below what you guys do. How do you guys store your dry dog food? Let everybody know your opinion down below and what you're doing and what's worked for you. And if you have a specific example of years of having something for a really long time, and you're like, look, this is how I kept it, and it's I've never had a problem, or hey, I kept it this way and I had a problem, put it down right now in the chat and let people know, okay? Also, preserving, what I was saying originally about subscriptions is, I like subscriptions, you guys, because that comes on a regular thing. It's not a red flag as far as you're overbuying, you're stacking too much food, you're a hoarder. No, you're on a regular subscription, you're getting that stuff monthly. But what happens is, if you do that, you're always going to have a little bit left over, and before you know it, your stock piled up, okay? It's an easy way for budget wise. If you have animals, they got to be fed anyway, right? So get that subscription going on food, and just get it going, and then you'll be surprised how much it stockpiles. We have the animal food, both dog and cat food, on subscriptions. That's how I stockpile it. I also have the cat litter on subscription. That's how I stack it. Comes straight to my door. I don't have to lug it from the store. I don't have to do any of that. It just gets delivered once a month. And we have the cat litter. You're not going to have too much, okay? That's facts, because your animals are eating that, right? It's a working pantry, if you will, for your cats and dogs, right? So you're gonna be just fine. Cat litter, first of all, has all types of uses, not only for cats for going to the bathroom. Ours will be used as a barrier for fallout for different walls. We have, it's used for our toilet system, for our emergency toilet system. You go poo or pee in the bucket, and then you put a scoop of cat litter in there. So we have a lot of uses for cat litter. So you can't have too much, okay? So subscriptions are good. Canned food too, just like our food, where you get the food that's canned that has the pop-up. Those cans of food are gonna go, not last as long, right? You have the potential for it to be contaminated easier, and then not that air necessarily is getting in there, but they just have the potential to get compromised way faster, and they're just flat out are not going to last longer than a traditional all the way done can. Okay, so just something to think about. Let's see my notes, you guys. Okay, so feeding and drinking. Water. You need to be paying attention right now how much your animals are drinking. You need to watch how much are you putting out for all your animals. This goes for livestock. How much food is your livestock eating, drinking, prepping that, being able to get that water. That's a big deal. Animals drink a lot of water. One dog drinks a lot of water, okay? And so There's some math equations that you can do as far as the minimum water that an animal needs going off of their weight, that type of thing. But it's a lot of water. Animals, and then depending on the circumstance of weather and what's going on will depend on, how much they're drinking, right? So think about water. Water's a huge prep, but think about that in regards to your animals. That's another person, if you will, that is drinking water in your home. And so when you are preparing and you are prepping water as a whole, your potable drinking water, you need to be taking into consideration your animals and how much they are drinking, and especially animals that stay predominantly outside and maybe are getting their water from other sources. You need to be thinking about, I don't think about maybe what the cat is drinking, because I have some water bowls out there, but she's not always getting her water from there. I can tell you that. I don't, so what is, when that animal is now inside, how does that change your water game, right? So just water is a huge thing. Okay, medically, another very huge topic. I'm just going to go through these. Think about medicines, right? Think about over-the-counter stuff that you can get now. Think about prescriptions, right? Does your animal take any kind of prescribed medication? How can you get that stocked up? What kind of over-the-counter stuff? What kind of holistic stuff? Think about, just like we do, us head to toe. If the dog had an earache, had a toothache, getting teeth cleaning stuff, getting earache stuff, getting eye stuff, getting clippers for their toenails, right? All the little things that you would need to take care of them yourself. Your shampoos, your flea and tick medicines, both your medicines, your shampoos for that, your tick polar offer, things, your scissors for cutting their own hair or shaving them down. Let's see what else. Tummy meds, dewormer meds, first aid stuff for your animals, bandages that are specific for animals, right? Your animal gets cut, wound care, bandage care. What does that look like? Warmth and cold care, right, too. Animals are just like us. Things happen to them. They don't feel well. Trying to figure out what's wrong with them, right? So books on animal medicine, animal things to identify possibly on your own what is wrong with your animal, so that hopefully you can put them at ease and make them feel better. I mean, it's a big feat to try to figure out what's wrong with an animal and how to fix it, especially, but if we don't have the ability to just go out and see a veterinarian, that's very important for you to be able to possibly now learn the basics of how to take care of your animal, okay? Some calming stuff, like for cats, for example, catnip, right? Traveling is stressful, right, for animals in general. Keeping them calm during that. If animals are used to being outside and now they're inside and you're trying to keep them calm, having that stuff could be helpful. Comfort stuff, wipes, toys, bones, different stuff that they use to make them feel good, right? Whether it's blankets, whether it's a sleeping area, it's a bed, it's chew toys, it's certain bones, it's different treats, wipes, so stuff to keep them clean, right? Again, they're maybe like you, not taking a shower or bath. So comfort wise, how are you going to be able to keep them clean? If they get doo-doo on their boo-boos, right? How are you got wipes to clean that up? Their feet, whatever. You've got, they get gunk in their eyes, whatever. You've got to have different things to be able to keep these animals clean. I haven't looked into dry shampoo for animals. I bet you there's some kind of product, but I'm just going to take a look, have to take a look. Again, let us know in the chat if there's some stuff, as I'm rambling on, there's some stuff that you guys know. I'm sure you're already sharing stuff with each other. But if you've heard of different stuff like that, different products like that, let us know in the chat. Let's see. I talked about that. Okay. All right, let's talk about safety, because this is the biggest thing too, is how do you stay safe when you have animals and you're trying to keep those animals from alarming people? Maybe you don't want them barking, right? It's not the time to alert that people are there. It's the time to be quiet. You don't want somebody to know you're there or your presence is there, or that there's, just to be alerting in general to the public that, hey, there's a bunch of you in there, right? This comes down to just basic training with your dog and what you do with your dog now. Training your dog to not take food from anybody else except you, right? So that they're not enticed to eat a steak from somebody who's trying to gain access to the property, right? training for barking, right? That's a huge one, is training your dog when you want them to bark. They bark when you want them to bark. They don't bark when you don't want them to bark, right? That's a big deal, and that's a big training, and a lot of people obviously don't have their dogs trained like this. Even if your dog's trained, or even if your dog you think is kind of trained with that, getting muzzles, okay? Getting them muzzle trained with using a muzzle and putting that on them, right? You've got to figure out everything that could happen and get the things that are needed to help you with whatever situation that you're currently in. It's important, if it's important to keep your dog muzzled, to keep your dog quiet as possible, then you've got to start doing that. Get that muzzle now. Get them kind of used to it now. I'm not saying put it on them all the time, but just don't let the first time you've ever put this on your animal be the moment you need them to be quiet. And now they have a total panic attack because you've put this muzzle on them and you have no training. They have no idea what's going on. You're just panicked because you're trying to get them quiet because something is going on outside. It could just be, it's just another level of stress that's added to a situation that would not be, is not needed if you could just prepare now. Okay. Let's see. We talked about that. I think that's everything that I have, you guys. I think the biggest thing is if you were forced inside during a situation. One, I think it depends on how long does a situation last. It's just like it is for us. And what do you have to get through that period? And then, do you have the things for the quality of life for them? Essentially, when we get things for us, a lot of it is quality of life to get through a situation. But it becomes, how long does that last? And then two, is it how bad of a situation is? Is it a situation that has drove us inside and it's important for those animals to stay inside? And if they are inside, you plan that, which animals are in there and how is everybody coexisting in this space? Because now you could have a home that all of a sudden, I'll just use us for example, right? We just got a dog. That dog's in the house all the time with us, right? And we take it out to go to the bathroom, whatever. The cat used to be indoors all the time, is now an outdoor cat, is outdoors all the time. Then it becomes something happens where, let's just say fallout, for example, everybody has to be inside. You have the dog inside, we've got to get the cat inside, we've got to get them both set up with the bathroom situation, we have to make sure that their food and stuff is inside the house. Everything that we need for those animals is inside the house. Then it becomes what kind of livestock we have. Okay, so we don't have any livestock yet, but we are about to get some stuff. We're about to get bunnies, we're about to get these chickens. And so, okay, if we bring those in, where are they going? The plan, what is the plan? Are they staying out and it's a loss? Or are we bringing them in? We bring them in, where do they go? Do we have space? What does that look like? That's huge. Do we have the backup food and water for them? Okay, how much of that did we have stockpiled? Getting that in the house. I mean, just think about the logistics if you're just bringing in, different animals like that. Let's just say you just had 3 bunnies, you had 3 chickens. That's a lot, okay? And to get everything inside. And then what else do you have? Do you have bigger animals? Do they need to get into the garage or a barn or a shed? And they're used to being outside, but you're trying to bring them inside from some elements, right? They can't come inside maybe, but maybe you can get them to another shelter, okay? But again, how do you feed those animals if it's fallout and you're not going back and forth from that, right? Is there some kind of automatic feeder for them? Is it just a loss because you're like, look, they're out there by themselves anyway, they're not in here, right? What do you do, right? It's going to get very emotional for a lot of people when it comes to animals, because the average American family does have some sort of pet, and the average American family, though, is not ready and is not prepared in general. And then if you have anything that happens crisis-wise and you have no food to feed your family, no extra water, you're panicked now, you have no idea how long that's going to last, and you have 3 dogs, let's say, and you're like, yeah, you have food for them. Maybe you have a couple weeks worth of food, right? You've got some big bags of dog food because you have 3 dogs, right? But eventually that runs out, right? And that's panic. And you have people who are going to be making emotional decisions, letting animals go, hoping that they'll find food on their own. You have people that will make emotional decisions and keep their animals even though they have no food. You have people who will keep their animals, and like dogs, for example, can eat a lot of food that we can eat. So they'll just continue to keep those animals, and those animals will eat, and they'll adjust, right? They'll adjust and they'll eat. Will cats adjust? Will cats eat? I think they'll eat certain things that we eat, but they can't eat everything that maybe a dog can eat, okay? So those are the things that you need to think about, because it's going to be a very emotional time if you haven't prepared all these things for these domestic animals that you have. It goes further. You have birds in your house, you have hamsters in your house, you have bunny rabbits in your house, you have quails in your house, you have whatever other animals in your house, lizards, snakes, whatever. Whatever floats your boat and is your pet. I just talk heavily about dogs and cats because that's what the average family has typically, but there's all types of pets that you need to be thinking about if you're trying to have them live, okay? These things need to be thought about, because if you don't, it's gonna be a much, much sadder day when you realize that you're not ready, okay? But it comes down to skills too. If something lasts forever, we go grid down, lights out, you know, what are you doing the day all these things run out, right? Knowledge, medical knowledge of how to take care of your pet, how to medically take care of them if they get a cut, they get a laceration, they get hurt. You need to take care of their basic medical needs, right? So anyway, I have tons of stuff to do. I'm just babbling on. I hope you guys enjoyed this premiere. Hopefully I made it, okay? I am going to try my hardest to make it. If I did not make this, I am so sorry. It's because we're really in the middle of a bathroom reno, okay? But I love you guys. Hopefully I'm here, and I hope you guys have a blessed day and you guys got a lot of stuff done and you guys are feeling good, okay? So take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.